And I think the removal of God is causing this desensitization. With God, there are filters. With God, there are boundaries. With God, there's expectations and there are limitations. But all of these things are to protect us and to prosper us. But without God, we're left to create our own boundaries, to create our own limitations, to try and protect ourselves, to try and prosper ourselves. Woo! God is good. I think as a generation, we're missing out on the benefit and the development that comes with waiting. Nowadays, you can post almost anything, almost everything, and get away with it. But nowadays it is a lot, like I said, visuals of naked people throwing everything of their body left, right and centre up in the air. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and also welcome if you are new. I'm so grateful to have you here. So my name is AkuaB and here on this channel I cover all things faith, lifestyle and beauty related, and in today's video, as you can see from the title, this video is on the desensitization of this generation. But before I get straight into that, I just want to quickly encourage you to leave a like down below on today's video and also comment something that you're enjoying from the video or just your own thoughts. I'd love to have you involved in this discussion. And also, if you haven't already, then please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and make sure to turn on the notification bell if you haven't already so you never miss an upload. And I just want to give a quick shout out to 3 of my videos that have completely smashed 1,000 views, and to all of the people that keep subscribing and are bringing up that subscriber versus non-subscriber count. So thank you so much. So I think the 3 videos that reached over 1,000 views were the middle ground reaction to the liberal versus conservative Christians, my The Chosen reaction to the trailer, and also I think my episode 1 reaction to The Chosen, but I'm not quite sure. So make sure to check those out if you haven't already, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so first off, please do excuse the way that this whole setup looks because I'm leaning on my bed and it's comfy, so make sure to get comfy, chill, and let's just get into this talk. So I'm briefly just going to give you the lowdown of what I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to actually get into why I think that this generation is desensitized, and then we'll have a little talk about that and get into all of these different topics. And as usual, I'll have my phone up with some notes on it. So some of the things that I'll be covering is TV shows and movies, music, true crime story times, social media, horoscopes, tarot cards, crystals, manifestation, drugs, alcohol, and instant/delayed gratification. Okay, so why do I think that this generation is desensitized or being desensitized? So I've got 2 overarching points that are just gonna cover a lot of what I'm gonna talk about in today's video. So those 2 are influence and ease of access. So let's talk about ease of access first. So ease of access, everyone has some kind of social media, everyone has some kind of platform, online presence, emails, codes for different sites, Zoom links, YouTube pages, Instagram, Google. Everyone has such a huge ease of access in the society and the generation that we're in. And growing up as a kid, I grew up just on the cusp of having really quick, easy, accessible internet. So I had that period of childhood where it was totally like, what is the internet? You went outside if you wanted to have fun, you entertained yourself, you didn't always have something at your fingertips to plug into and connect into and just disconnect from the world. So ease of access is the first point of why I think this generation is desensitized. Okay, so my next overarching point is influence. Everybody has some kind of influence these days. I think that's because of social media, so they kind of interconnect, like the ease of access and the influence. So a lot of people, even down to the local level now, maybe even know some kind of influencer, know someone who has some kind of platform, and I think it's just become the norm to be influenced and also to recognise and be influenced by influencers. Like, that's an actual job title now, and people make money from it, people get successful from it. So that is one of the other overarching points that is going to tie into a lot of the points I make throughout this video. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about TV shows, movies and music. So a few days ago, or like recently, I've just been like looking for series to watch, movies to watch, just to entertain myself in my spare time, like just to de-stress and just to chill. And every time I do, I try to stay away from things that are very highly graphic, but still are interesting and engaging. And I think that's really hard to find nowadays. Everything has some kind of highly graphic scene in it, whether that's violence, intimacy, anything like that. It's just very like, we have to show to be able to tell you. So it's very hard to navigate that kind of environment when you just want to chill and relax and you don't want to be on like high guard with everything that you watch. Like you just want to chill and just not be so concerned with what you're consuming, because you know that it doesn't have bad intentions. And I think a lot of the TV shows and movies, just the entertainment industry in general, does not have good motives in its roots and in its foundation. A lot of these things will push certain agendas and push certain ideologies through TV shows, through movies and things like that, and just have no filter. So I was trying to watch Bridgerton the other day, and I was watching it with my little sister, and we're both like over 18, but we were watching it, and like I think it was either less than a minute or less than 10 minutes. I think it was more on the side of less than a minute, because everyone was talking about it on social media. And as I said in my TV shows that I wouldn't watch now that I'm a Christian, don't follow the hype. Like, please do not follow the hype, especially when it's something that you're not too sure about what it is. Like, I just knew it was kind of more like a period piece kind of drama, so I was like, oh, let me have a gander at this, and my sister was like, yeah, sure, why not, like, let's see what it's about. So we clicked on it, and in the first like under a minute, I'm gonna say, there was a really graphic, intimate scene, and we were just like, oh, okay, like, we're both watching this, let's search for the remote, like, where's the remote? So we had that little moment, and it was just like, we just wanted to watch TV, like, we were just trying to chill, like, we weren't trying to search for that kind of thing. And I think no one really is, and that is the big issue. No one's really searching for that, and well, I don't know, but majority of people, when you go onto Netflix and you just want to watch a show, you're not wanting to watch the P word. Like, that is not what you go there for. And this is all through a Christian perspective, by the way. So if you've clicked on this and you're like, whoa, she's such a prude, like, this is from a Christian perspective. So I'm talking about all of this through the lens of a biblical mindset. So when you click on shows like that, TV shows, movies, you're expecting to get entertained, but you're not expecting to get aroused. Ooh, that's very ooh. But yeah, I think that needs to be talked about a lot more, because I think there's no filter nowadays, and especially in TV shows and movies where it's very popular, a celebrity, an influencer can post on their social media like, oh, I'm watching this show and it's really good, and hundreds, thousands of people will go and watch it. And especially as a Christian, it's hard to find good, clean, quality content, because I'm sure that there's many other Christians out there like me that do like things that are interesting, engaging, thrillers, things that just like entice you, leave you like sitting on the edge of your seat, like, what's gonna happen next? Like, we love an engaging storyline, but I feel like nowadays there's that dose of let's put this in so it pushes this agenda more, so that it sells more, so that it's more popular, instead of actually building on storylines. Okay, so just to round up this section on TV shows and movies, I just want to say that a lot of the stuff that is put into these shows is put there purposely, and it's meant to intrigue, and it's meant to capture, and it's meant to leave you wanting more. And you never know the intentions of the creators and the producers of these projects. It's very easy to just get swept into a really engaging series and not realise that 50% of it is just intimate scenes, is just scenes of graphic nature, and there you are just consuming it and not even realizing it, and then one day it starts to manifest in your real life and you start to mimic what you see. Okay, so the next thing that I want to get into is music. So music for me has been such an up and down roller coaster. Like, I went from listening to just secular music to, well, with a dabble of gospel here and there, to gospel and secular, to just gospel, to gospel and then a bit of secular, and now it's like it's kind of stayed in that zone of majority gospel and then a bit of secular. This generation has been fed so much through the secular music industry. There's half-naked women in majority, I'd probably say probably like 80 to 90% of R&B, hip-hop, kind of videos. The majority of the themes of the songs and the lyrics, especially, because songs can blow up just because of the beat. Like they can, like, I love bass in music, so I really get drawn and like attracted to that in music. And then when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, whoa, like what am I saying? Like some of these songs are saying like, I want to die, like I'm so heartbroken I could kill myself, saying stuff about having side chicks, being obsessed with guys, being obsessed with girls. It's just a whole mess. And if you listen to the lyrics of your most favourite secular songs, you will realise that it's not as innocent as it seems. So as well as just like the lyrics and the audio to music, there's also visuals, there's music videos, and there's a lot of dark imagery and connotation that you can find within music videos if you really pay attention to them. I don't really watch music videos unless it's like, I don't know, like way back, and it's just some classic, like really innocent, walking down a street singing their heart out kind of music video. But nowadays it is a lot, like I said, visuals of naked people throwing everything of their body left, right and centre up in the air. In the West, K-pop has like blown up. Like the way that everyone is speaking bits of Korean left, right and centre, and they've watched one K-drama one time. I was actually put onto this by my sister. So my sister, I think she was a fan of some kind of K-pop band, I'm not sure who it was a girl band though, and they had a music video that was a lot of demonic imagery about giving into temptation, and it was about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and they actually gave into the snake, started dancing to it, worshipping it or something like that, and they had some kind of models or imagery of satanic worship. And I just remember being like, oh my goodness, like the immediate thought that I had was K-pop is so big, like this industry is so huge, and there are so many people that, and this isn't just about K-pop, I'm not just trying to hate on K-pop, there's a lot of people that will be so loyal to a musician, to an artist, to a band, to a certain genre of music, that those kind of things will either go over their head or they will see it and it will go in one ear out the other. So yeah, that is just another area where I think this generation is just so desensitized and becoming more so desensitized. I just wanted to add on quickly to the music category a tiny bit more about lyrics. You never know the power of words and the power of lyrics. In the Bible it says that the tongue holds the power of life and death. So singing songs where they're talking about death, or they're talking about being so in love and being obsessed and this and that and this and that, it's actually quite, it's got a depth to it that I don't think majority of people realise, and it's easy to get swept away by the influence of a good beat or a good song that's built to be that way. Just like TV shows and movies are built to hook you in, are built to entice you and keep you hooked and keep you coming back, so is music. And just like I like a good bass in my songs and the music that I listen to, that could easily distract me from the lyrics and what I'm actually saying or singing. Okay, let's talk about true crime story times. Let's just leave that there for a second. True crime story times. So I used to be hooked on these, like maybe, I'd say maybe a year ago, to like 3 years ago, in that time period, for around 2 to 3 years. And they started emerging, especially on YouTube. I know there's a lot of podcasts about it now, and there's always been TV shows about like my husband killed my brother or something like that, and it's like some crazy title. They've always been on TV, but then they moved to YouTube, and fun, engaging personalities started to do story times on them, which was a fresh take on story times, because story times were usually like my boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend, or like how my mother-in-law ruined my wedding, or something like that. They were very personal, but this took story times to a non-personal level. So you could get popular or create a sphere of influence or a platform by sharing other people's stories. So I think that's why it was so engaging as well, that you never ran out of them. There's always going to be, sadly, there's always going to be tragedies and true crime to talk about and to share. So I used to be like really invested in true crime stories and listening to them. I probably listen to like maybe 1 or 2 a day, and usually if I found a really good storyteller on YouTube, I'd binge watch like a load of their videos. But then a few weeks ago, actually, I came to the realization that I'm not just binge watching this person's content, I'm binge watching torture, manipulation, lies, deceit, plans of murder, just all this malicious crime, and that just doesn't sit well in the heart. And I should have been having like Bible verses coming up on the screen like throughout this, but I think I'm going to put the one in where it talks about, let me just scroll to the bottom of my notes, where it says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. And that's in Proverbs 4:23. And there's also another one where it's like something about guarding your heart or something, because out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. So anything that we're ingesting, we're eventually gonna push that back out, and whether that's good or bad. So just watching and consuming all this negative, gory, really just depressing content constantly is going to take a toll eventually, whether you know it or not, whether it's subconscious or whether it's more overt. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about more on the entertainment side and the industry side of things, I think has agendas to it and layers to it that are hard to pick apart and really understand. But I think on this kind of lower level of like YouTubers and just random people on the internet, that it's just like hype and it's excitement and it's, oh my gosh, like how crazy is the next murder that we'll hear about on this person's channel, and like this and that. So I definitely think that true crime story times are just another cause for desensitization in this generation, and obviously I'm talking from a more Western perspective, not like any other like culture or society. But yeah, I just wanted to bring some light to true crime and that kind of whole genre and that whole niche on YouTube, especially because it's such a intriguing area, but it's also very damaging mentally and spiritually and emotionally. And I wouldn't even just say like do it in a small amount, like everything's good in a small amount, because I really don't think it is. And this again goes back to ease of access and influence, because both of those things are tied to true crime. There's the influencer that is pushing out these videos, and there's also the ease of access. Small children can watch YouTube and watch these story times of very graphic nature. A lot of the story time people that I used to follow didn't show like crazy images of crime scenes or things that happen like that, but the depth of detail that they went into was enough to make your stomach turn and your hairs to stand on end. It was just not light stuff to be watching. And also, as I just talked about the fact that it influences us and it's not just us consuming that, it changes the way that you think as well. Like, I remember watching true crime story times and being like, oh well, they could have covered their tracks up like this because this other killer did this and they got away with it for much longer. Or like, oh that was silly, why did they do this? They could have done this. And even just the fact that it's on YouTube as entertainment is a scary thought. Like I said, it's at our fingertips, ease of access. to see all of these stories in a condensed, entertaining, short, snappy video. And these are people's real lives. I don't think anyone's in their videos like, oh my gosh, this is so great, like listen to this murder, but it's kind of like, that's what people go to these videos for. They go for entertainment. They'll grab their dinner, they'll grab their drinks, they'll sit down, they'll enjoy it, they'll be up in their bed like watching this for entertainment. And just the fact that someone's murder, someone's trauma is your entertainment. Ooh. So let's talk about social media. So I got written down for social media just straight after this point, soft P. And this is because I heard someone else say this in a video or something else that I was watching, and I was like, wow, that is so true. I was like, I cannot get away from any kind of content that looks similar to this. I think it's honestly in majority of places on social media. There are influencers that I used to follow a while ago that now just post very revealing, very intimate kind of pictures, and it's just like, goodness me, like my eyes, like I don't want to be seeing this. And I think that it's everywhere, and especially female influencers. I feel like there's some sort of requirement for some kind of revealing nature to be portrayed throughout your feed for you to get a certain amount of attention or likes or interactions. And I think that's just so twisted, and that is just another way that this generation is being desensitized. And I cannot imagine growing up as a preteen now, like 12, 13, 14, looking at these influencers, looking at these people on social media, because let's be real, like that's where a lot of young people are spending their time nowadays. And this is what they're seeing. This is what they're looking up to. And it's scary. There's actually no filters on places like Instagram, Snapchat, apart from following people and unfollowing people. But Instagram, it's free range. There's no like, there is an explicit kind of thing. Like if you posted a fully nude picture, I'm sure someone would report it and it would get taken down. But that used to be like early Instagram. Like nowadays you can post almost anything, almost everything, and get away with it. And again, this is just leading to further desensitization of this generation. Okay, so for this section, I've literally called it hardcore desensitization / no filter. And this is everything: horoscopes, tarot cards, crystals, manifestation, drugs, alcohol. So I'm gonna get straight into it with horoscopes and tarot cards and all of that kind of mystical stuff. So I think that a lot of people nowadays, especially younger people, are more susceptible to falling into this stuff because a lot of their peers or parents, relatives, all of that don't have God. And I think the removal of God is causing this desensitization. With God, there are filters. With God, there are boundaries. With God, there's expectations and there are limitations. But all of these things are to protect us and to prosper us. But without God, we're left to create our own boundaries, to create our own limitations, to try and protect ourselves, to try and prosper ourselves. Woo! God is good. So horoscopes, tarot cards, all of this stuff is demonic. It says straight up in the Bible, do not dabble with this stuff. And I've got another verse right here, just in case I forget to add it in the video later. It says, as for the person who turns to mediums and to spiritists to play the harlot after them, I will also set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people. And that is in Leviticus 20 verse 6. So God is clearly against all of this spiritist, medium kind of stuff. And a lot of people will say they're Christian but then dabble in this stuff. And in my YouTube recommendations I've been getting a lot of this kind of stuff, and it's just kind of like, a lot of people are into this. It's very popular. People are lost. People are lost. They want hope, they want prosperity, they want to be rich, they want health, they want all of this stuff, but they want it outside of their creator. They want it outside of the one who created health. They want it outside of the one who created prosperity. They want it outside of the one who created their desire to have that very thing. and therefore they think that they're left to their own devices, and because they do not ascribe to that, then they have to fend for themselves. And I'm saying have to fend for themselves because I think there's a feeling of hopelessness without God. Like, genuinely, what do you actually turn to? You don't have God. What do you turn to? You only can turn to yourself. So I think that's just a method of being able to have some sort of control in your life. I want this, therefore I will manifest this. I want this, therefore I will do some tarot cards and see what is in my future, because I don't know. So all of these things, crystals, manifestation, are just not it. This is another layer of desensitization. When I was writing this, it actually made me feel quite nostalgic, because we used to sing like hymns and all of that stuff in primary school, and I think a few years after I left they stopped doing that. So they've taken hymns outside of school, they've put a stop to all of that, so there's no kind of relation to God in school, and they're really trying to take God out of the school system, and I think they've very successfully done that. And this is just what this leads to. And I think people younger and younger are coming to things like horoscopes. Like, you can get horoscopes anywhere. I remember I used to read it in the Sun newspaper all the time, in magazines all the time. Now it's on social media. You can read it in different columns, love columns, relationships, money, this and that. You can read about how to get these things, what your forecast of luck looks like for the next year, the next month, the next day, tomorrow, all of this different stuff. And also there's a belief that where you were born and the circumstances that you were born affect your whole personality forever, and that is just it. And on Tuesday it's gonna rain and you're gonna have the worst day and your finances are gonna go down and this and that because you're a moon sign or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so the way that this desensitizes people, or especially this generation, from God is the fact that it's nothing to do with God. This is completely removing God out of the equation, and therefore there's no kind of relationship to God through it. People might think they have a God, people might think they have a connection to God through doing these things. They do not. Instead of just physically and mentally, as literally the rest of the list is, about TV shows, movies, social media, this and that, this is spiritual. And I always say, and I've started to say it a lot, that we are in a spiritual battle. And I think you truly have to understand that and just really get into peace with that, because once you know and understand that simple we're in a spiritual battle, once you understand that, then you can start to live your life based on strategy, based on preparing yourself with the word of God, based on preparation in God, based on knowing how to defend yourself from the enemy, and knowing there's an enemy, because some people don't even believe in the devil. Some people don't think there's a hell. Some people just going around life thinking that everything's peaches and cream. That is not true. These things are not for you. These things will ruin your life. So yeah, just to summarize this, horoscopes, tarot cards, crystals, all of this different stuff, manifestation, the way that it desensitizes this generation is that it totally removes God out of the equation, and it inhibits that relationship with God. It distances you from him. It allows you to depend on yourself. It tricks you into thinking that you are self-sufficient when you're not. It is definitely one of the biggest stumbling blocks that the devil is using in this generation, is self-sufficiency and also self-promotion. Okay, so the next thing that I want to touch on is sobriety. So sobriety and non-sobriety is really desensitizing this generation, especially in especially in university culture. It is very common and almost expected for you to dabble in drugs and, at the very least, alcohol. When did that become an expectation? When did that become a requirement? And a lot of people say, oh no, it's not, it's, you know, you do whatever you want to do, like, it's cool. but it kind of is. And especially in this generation, I feel like you're looked at funny if you've not had an experience with some kind of drug, if you don't drink or anything like that. And I feel like this is desensitizing us as individuals. Why can't we have fun without drugs, without alcohol, with the bodies that God gave us, with the minds that God gave us, with the humour that God gave us? So yeah, that is one of the biggest things that I feel has desensitized this generation, especially because people are getting involved in it much younger, especially nowadays, and it's cool to try. And obviously as you grow older, you'll grow out of certain things, but it's just one of those things that it's just like, ugh, like I wish I could warn younger people to be like, you don't have to, and there's no requirement for you to do so. You will not get outcasted forever if you decide to abstain or completely cut out from your life like anything to do with that. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And also there's another thing that comes along with sobriety / non-sobriety and desensitization. People can fall into the trap of comfort or literally looking for desensitization in alcohol, in drugs, as a form of escapism, and that's also just very dangerous. I just wanted to add that in there because I know that some people genuinely do that, and there are underlying reasons that are more serious, so I just wanted to pop that in there. Okay, so the last thing that I want to quickly talk about is just instant versus delayed gratification, and I feel like that is just like the biggest contributor to desensitization, is the fact that as a generation we don't know how to wait anymore. We don't know how to wait for what we want, and we don't know how to be patient. I'm the most impatient person ever, so I can't really talk, but that just goes to show how impatient our generation is. We've been given everything on a plate, and that might be good to an extent, but it gets to a point where it becomes detrimental. Like I said, ease of access, and with ease of access and influence like mixed together, instant versus delayed gratification becomes an issue. So I think in previous generations there was a lot more delayed gratification. Now we've got everything at our fingertips. It's much easier to give into instant gratification and think, why bother, why wait for delayed gratification when I can have it now? I can have everything I want now for the same price that I would if I waited. But I think as a generation we're missing out on the benefit and the development that comes with waiting. And this also just reflects God's character, and how he presents himself to us through his word. He's never in a rush, he's never late, and he's never early. He's always got a plan, he's always executed that plan, and it's always been with precision. And sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it's days, but there's always a period of development. And I think without that delayed gratification, without that period of waiting, it's shortening and maybe just removing development and growth altogether. Okay, so that is the end of today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to leave down below a like and also comment something that you enjoyed, or just leave your opinions. Let me know what you think of all the things that I touched base on today. And also, if you haven't already, then please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, and if you already are, then please make sure to turn on the notification bell just before you leave the video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Stay blessed and bye!